This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you. Urtet, Remnant of Memnarch versus Falco Spara, Omnath, and Athari. We have, decent curve there. Hope that we don't draw into any more big stuff, to be honest. There isn't that much big stuff in the deck, so we'll just pray that we can get some Myr off the top with the Realm Walker. We draw into a Leaden Myr, so we've got the green and the black one. First spell of the game is Impact Tremors from Omnath. Devoted Druid from Falco. We draw into Mirrodin Besieged. I think we're just going for a scrub land into the Copper Myr here so that we can make some green mana. Boros Signet from Athari. First commander of the game is Falco Spara, so entering with a shield counter. Alright, so it's a Perilous Myr available to us here, so I think we're best going for our commander as well before we start putting all these Myr into play. Suppose I could have tapped down the Copper Myr for mana into my commander there, and then I would have had 2 mana held up, including an untapped land for the Leaden Myr. That would probably have been the thing to do there, actually. Jessica's Will pointed at us because we have, well, we all have 6 cards in hand, so that's pretty generic. 6 mana being made, and we can't see, of course they didn't exile any cards because of the Athari not being in play. Just using the Jessica's Will as ramp to get Athari into play. And that does have haste, so swinging in over at Omnath, getting the first experience counter and the first rebel token. And that goes in at us. Dryad of the Elysian Grove for Omnath triggers the Impact Tremors, and they can tap their mana for any colours they like and make an additional land every turn. And then we see a Nature's Claim that went on to the Boros Signet, I think, yeah. So grateful that they didn't blow up our commander with that. Devoted Druid being untapped and putting a minus counter on it. And that allows our opponent into Master Biomancer and holding up Bant mana, so could be a counter or a swords or something. Then dropping a Simic Growth Chamber after that, which is a bounce land, so probably get rid of the forest. The Falco swinging in towards Omnath. Okay, and then the Omnath deciding to scoop on us. We draw into Cascading Cataracts, which I'm sure will be useful to us at some point during the game, so play that out. Make sure to actually tap down the Dork this time. And we don't have any blue mana for the Mirrodin Besieged, unfortunately, so I think we can just go for the Realm Walker. We'll see if we've got anything on top. That does count as a Myr, so it will make us our first Myr token from the Urtet. And on top of our library is a World Tree, so that's going to fix our colours once we get, I think it's 7? No, it's 6 lands we need, so a couple of lands away from that, but we know that that's on its way. So let's just go for the Leaden Myr. And that does make us another Myr token. We'll swing in for a couple of points of commander damage at the Phoenix player, and yeah, I think we're done there. Professional Facebreaker. And then the Phoenix swinging in at us this time, and the Rebel going to the right. And then we each get a Rebel that entered thanks to the experience counter. We'll block one of the Rebels with our Realm Walker because it has 3 toughness. Professional Facebreaker triggers, making 2 treasure tokens there because they dealt damage to us. Crystalline Giant from the Bant player. And after that we see Broker's Ascendancy. At the beginning of your end step, put a plus counter on all your creatures and a loyalty counter on the Planeswalkers. This is now a 5/5 and it has a reach counter on it. The 3/3 goes in at the, what is this called again? The Athari player. Okay, there's another land on top. Might as well just play the World Tree here. We know that our colours will be fixed next turn at least. And we're 1 mana away from getting down the Great Henge, annoyingly. Don't think there's much point in getting down the Perilous Myr unless we're about to start putting plus counters on things, which I suppose we could. So let's tap down our mana dorks and go for the Perilous Myr. And then at the beginning of combat, the Myr will untap, thanks to the Urtet. And now we can put 5 mana through the Cascading Cataracts and make Wooburg, and that will be enough to activate the Urtet and put 3+ counters on all of our Myr. We can only do this during our turn, unfortunately, so we might as well try and get some kind of combat trick out of it. We'll swing in with these Myr over at the Boros player, not managing to trick our opponent to block with the Professional Facebreaker, so we'll make Wooburg, then activate the Urtet, 3+ counters on all of our stuff, so a 5/6 and a couple of 4/4s hitting our opponent. And we've got some decent blockers to sit back with as well now. Anointed Procession for our opponents, so it can make a bunch of treasure tokens with that, as well as rebel tokens obviously. We're going to be at 3 experience counters here, so swinging in with a rebel and their commander, making 6 rebel tokens. So we get 4 rebel tokens and the Phoenix, and our opponent gets 3 rebels here. We obviously all block some rebels here, but they're still going to get through, and Professional Facebreaker going to trigger on other creatures hitting. Going down to 27, Professional Facebreaker triggers a couple of times. 5 treasure tokens ended up with, the cracked one already. And exiling the top cards with the Professional Facebreaker, we see an Archivist of Ogma, and there's some lands there as well. So playing the Archivist of Ogma, we're about to play and crack a fetch, so they will draw a card from that, only 2 in hand at the moment. Mana Gorger Hydra for more plus counter shenanigans. And the Crystalline Giant, we'll see which keyword counter it gets now. It is a 5/5 with reach and first strike. Alright, that's annoying. The Falco swinging in at us now. I think we've shown our opponent pretty consistently that we've been going in at the Phoenix player, but they decide to come in towards us. Then Broker's Ascendancy continues to trigger at the end of the turn. And we do have a Knight on top of our library now, so we can see about maybe casting that. Play out the Marsh Flats, we'll fix all of our colours. We don't have to search with this now that I think about it, thanks to the World Tree. So we can dodge the Archivist of Ogma. Now the Great Henge is going to be 4 mana for us, so we could go for that here, which is probably a good idea. So playing the first spell into the Mana Gorger Hydra gives it a plus counter. And then we can tap down the Great Henge straight away and cast ourselves a Knighted Mere. That will make us a Mere token, draws us into a Mere Battle Sphere as well, which we can't play this turn unfortunately. Great Henge does put a plus counter on that as well, and there is a Command Tower. Whenever a plus counter is put on the Knighted Mere, it gains double strike until end of turn, but it doesn't have haste at the moment unfortunately, so yeah, I was hoping to play another Mere off the top. I think we're best just going for Mirrodin Besieged at this point, and we can hold back some blockers I think. Naming Mirren, as you probably would expect with Mirrodin Besieged, so that we can make more Mere tokens. Missed out on a token there by casting Knighted Mere without it, but like I said, I was hoping for another Mere off the top. So with that, we untap the 2 mana dorks that we've got, holding back as many things as possible really. Let's go Commander Damage on the Phoenix player, going with the Realm Walker as well, and then I think we can just hold back after that. Alright, so they throw away the Professional Facebreaker and the Archivist of Ogma. That suggests that there might be a board wipe incoming. Or not, it is a flawless manoeuvre, so indestructible on their stuff, down to 1 card in hand. So our opponent gets 4 tokens, and that's doubled up to 8 thanks to the Anointed Procession, which we've held back a decent number of blockers for. Alright, Teferi's Protection from the Bamp player. Mana Gorger Hydra going to trigger again. We'll see where all these creatures are attacking. I'm guessing some are going in at the Bamp player if he went for the protection. Yeah, deciding to turn all of the rebels in over there, and we get the commander damage, so yeah, that's not as bad as it could have been. They'll only get 2 treasure tokens here to the Professional Facebreaker. Cracking tokens in order to trigger the Professional Facebreaker again. And there we see a Hexplate Wallbreaker, a Windswept Heath as well, just 1 more chance of getting something they want. And yeah, an Arid Mesa, so pretty much the 2 cards in their hand and the Wallbreaker. So playing and cracking the Windswept Heath, and then playing the Living Weapon to equip that. But they do have an evasive creature to get additional combats with. Arcane Signet, the Mana Gorger Hydra, is currently an 11/11. And that does have trample, so we have to be wary of that. Then fixing some lands with a Cultivate. That does trigger the Archivist of Ogma over there, so they'll gain a life and draw a card. Then the Bamp player going for a Nature's Claim onto the extra combats equipment, so really glad to see that, because no doubt that would have gone onto the Athari next turn. And now this thing is a 5/5, it has gained flying unfortunately, so yeah, a few means of evasion over there now. But thankfully deciding not to swing in. They did swing in at us strangely last turn, I thought. The Phoenix player over here is still at his starting life total. A Grateful Apparition after that. And the Broker's Ascendancy doing some work. So this thing ended up with a total of 5+ counters on it by the end of the turn. Alright, that would be excellent to draw into, a Reflections of Lityara. I don't think we're going to be able to cast it this turn though. We've got the Battle Sphere to draw into it. Drop the Command Tower. We definitely want to tap down our rocks. So we'll play out the Mere Battle Sphere. And that triggers the Mana Gorger Hydra. And we get a couple of Mere thanks to our commander and the Mirrodin Besieged. Mere Battle Sphere comes down with 3 Mere tokens itself. And the Great Henge is going to put a plus counter on it and draw us into the Reflections of Lityara, which will start making copies of the Mere that we cast. There is a Keep Watch, which would be really, really nice to get into, especially against the Rebel player. Yeah, I'm just thinking that we keep trying to deal some damage here, but it will entail going for the plus counters with the Urtet, which I think is fine. So at the beginning of combat, we untap the Mere, and we'll swing in with what will be a double striking Nightmare, and the 3/4/4s at the moment, but they're going to be bigger than that. And we just get our opponent to chump block with rebels, not even throwing enough rebels in the way to try and get rid of these, which is probably a good idea because they know exactly what we're doing. So continuing to make use of the Cascading Cataracts. And then we of course activate our commander. 3+ counters on all the Mere we control, which should make them into decent blockers. Makes Knighted Mere a double striker, which doesn't matter whilst none of these things have any kind of evasion. So we're just hoping that we make it through another turn cycle here. We're showing the Bant player that we're not concentrating on him, even though both of them are a threat. Yeah, we want to make it through another turn cycle so that we can try and draw cards from Keep the Watch. Once again, the commander damage coming over to us from Athari. No additional combat at least. Not one that we know of anyway. So holding back the rebels and just swinging in for some commander damage. Going to make 10 rebels thanks to that Anointed Procession not being dealt with all game. Did ask for a casual game with this because I know this Mere deck isn't the best. Urtet is a really, really fun commander and really great design, but doesn't lend itself to the typical Magic Online crowd that really like to be quite spiky, so asked for a casual game and that's what we're getting here, so I'm grateful. All of these rebels swinging into the right against the Bant player, because he feels as though his rebels can deal with our Mere quite easily. We do have Eldrazi Monument, I think it's called, in the deck that can give indestructible and flying to our stuff. And maybe we've got a Chroma's Memorial as well. Built the deck quite a while ago, so I can't remember, but I'd be very surprised if I didn't put Means of Evasion in here. Anyway, bunch of blocks being made, Professional Facebreaker triggering a couple of times. That's done some real work this game, digging through our opponent's library, so getting 4 treasures. But can't stop getting into lands off the top apparently. That is a basic that they've exiled. A Throne of the God Pharaoh, that's not good. Then a Mind Stone. So slamming down Throne of the God Pharaoh, as he should. We're each going to take 6 to that at the end of the turn. And then a Smothering Tithe along with Anointed Procession is very, very good. And also alongside Professional Facebreaker is very good. So playing everything by the looks of it. There's a Mind Stone. I have no doubt that he'll play the Tithe as well. So Throne of God Pharaoh triggers at the end of the turn. And like I said, we'll take 5 from the tokens, 1 from the commander. We go down to 15. And the Bant player goes down to 17. And I'm hoping that with all these big creatures, he's should at least be attacking him with the Mana Gorger Hydra. Could force him to get rid of some rebels. Although the Othari stands to survive a massive hit from the Mana Gorger Hydra. Machaos the Lunarch probably being played for just 2 mana, 1 into X. Either way, it does enter with 5+ counters on it. I think they actually just put 0 into X on that. It is a Commander Sphere after that. 2 cards left in the Bant player's hand. Then cracking Commander Sphere to draw a card. I think he tapped it down for blue mana first, as he should have done. That triggers the Smothering Tithe for the 2nd time, so making another couple of treasures. And then it's through to combat. The Crystalline Giant going to trigger again. So far, First Strike, Flying and Reach. And this time it gains Menace. Still a 5/5. Alright, and there we go. Starting to commit some creatures to the red zone now against the Boros player. And just deciding to block 1 creature by the looks of it. Just blocking the Master Biomancer. So plummeting down to 7, that means that we can actually go wide on him here. Maybe go wide on both our opponents. proliferation from the Great Apparition when it hits. So there's 10 blockers here. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16 and 17 creatures, so we should be able to go wide over there. Can we go wide on both of them is the question. Smothering Tithe triggers again, we're not going to pay into that. Seeing an Urza's Incubator on top, which I'm very grateful to have the new frame on, and the new artwork's pretty cool as well. So, did we go for the buffs on our commander now? Yeah, it's potentially greedy, but I think it's alright. So once again, activating the Urtet, 3+ counters on each mirror we control. Then Professional Facebreaker going for the Exile, that is a Combat Celebrant on top, going after some kind of removal or protection of some kind. Seeing a Heraldic Banner, and there is Teferi's Protection as well. So that kind of backfires for us, unfortunately. Playing the Teferi's Protection, and we'll untap a couple more mana, which means we're only left with 4 mana after we draw a boatload of cards with the Keep Watch, and then we'll have to discard most of its hand size anyway, so I think we're best at this point waiting for the Boros player to swing in, playing Keep Watch, and hopefully we can do something after that. Hopefully we survive through this next turn cycle. So we just need to keep all of our creatures untapped at this point, I think. Looks like our opponent's going straight through to combat. So we'll see if the Bant player has anything up his sleeve. Swinging in at us with the Phoenix again. And you would think he'd dedicate a decent number of rebels over to the right, because that player correctly decided to commit to the board there and try and get this player down as low as possible. It was just lucky that he got into the Teferi's Protection. So it's going to be 12 more rebels hit play here, which means Keep Watch is going to draw us a hell of a lot of cards, because the rebels obviously enter play attacking. The Professional Facebreaker is actually potentially going to go down here to combat, unless it went into the right. Can't see where things are attacking yet. Okay, it looks as though just everything is going in at the right, seemingly. So I'll put a stop during the damage step, because during the damage phase the creatures are still attacking. See if the Bant player has any tricks up his sleeve, because we don't want to whiff on the Keep Watch. Okay, so we're through to the damage step. This player does go down, so before he makes any more treasure tokens, we'll go for the Keep Watch. Got 81 cards left in our library, and our opponent has 4 cards. Obviously going to get card advantage with the Facebreaker as well, but yeah, we're about to draw a hell of a lot of stuff here. So that does make a bunch of Smothering Tithe tokens, unfortunately, but we do draw into a bunch of stuff. Clear 3 lands off the top, a Mere Enforcer, Distant Melody, 53 cards left in the library. Masked Vandal, I don't think we have anything in the bin yet. Parcel Mere can put itself in the bin though. Palladium Mere, Metallic Mimic, Hover Mere, a Smothering Tithe of our own, Organic Extinction, exactly what we need, a Mere Sire. Another thing that we need is Earthcraft, so that we can start abusing the ability on our commander. Yeah, the Urza's Incubator, Genesis Chamber, Adaptive Automaton's pretty irrelevant now. So the problem is our opponent could potentially still do something here. Don't think we've got a means of protecting our board at the moment. So we're at risk of the game crashing here. That is 10, 20, 30, 40 and 56 treasure tokens there. Plus the ones that the Facebreaker will make. So if our opponent can't get into anything off all that, then he's pretty damn unlucky. He can dig through his whole library pretty much. So there is an Enlightened Tutor. There's not much point cycling now anyway. I don't think we have Swords or Path or anything in the deck. And we know what we're drawing into here thanks to the Realm Walker, so even if there is one on top, we can't do anything with it. Our opponent has gone for Aggravated Assault, and yeah, that could do it, although we've still got blockers, although, yeah, I'm not sure how many. I mean, they could probably just get enough combats here, enough to deal commander damage to us. That's the thing, yeah. If we had a flying blocker in the way, which there's only one of in the deck, I think, the Hovermere. Yeah, if we had that in the way of our opponent's commander, although they could probably get it out of the way by doing Professional Facebreaker stuff anyway, so there is the Aggravated Assault. Probably just handed the game over to my opponent, but it was a pretty fun one anyway. Cool to see wacky plays like that. So there is an additional combat here, and obviously there's going to be more Rebel tokens into play and stuff like that. So just swinging in with the Athari. Yeah, and we've got a bunch of rebels coming in our way as well, so we will make sure to block these. But it is ultimately a waste of time. Our opponent's going to send us up to 18 points of commander, and then all they have to do is go aggravated assault and pay for the Athari again to attack in at us, and that'll be game. So I'll just pass it over to my opponent at this point and let him do whatever he wants. So aggravated assault being activated once again, and just double check that in all of that we didn't actually draw into any removal. We certainly didn't. Obviously we can go for organic extinction next turn, but that is not of much use to us. So we'll take the damage here and see how much our opponent's going to knock us down by. Okay, gets us down to -24 and 21 points of commander damage. Yeah, Professional Facebreaker being the absolute game changer in that game, I think. The fact that we played into it with the Smothering Tithe and the Keep Watch is, yeah, probably the thing that killed us out there. I think they only had 3 or 4 cards available to them there. Might have exiled some stuff that was relevant off the top of the library. Not sure if he could have afforded to go for the Enlightened Shooter and the aggravated assault combo there. We only needed to be hit 2 more times, as we saw. Yeah, I'll have to look back at it during the edit and see if he had us either way. But that was exactly the type of game that I wanted for Urtet, a casual game in which there was little to no board wipes and removal. Sometimes it's just fun to have games in which you all play your toys onto the field and smash them into each other, so hopefully you all enjoyed it as well. If you want to see more from Urtet, then be sure to let me know in the comments section, and leave a thumbs up on the video as well to help with YouTube's algorithms. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.